here.
Cool, because fun fact, Annika actually wrote it.
No shit.
Annika wrote the song for the theme song.
So she gets
No.
automatic royalties.
She wrote that song.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, she wrote it for a class that she was taking.
Nice.
Okay. I thought she literally wrote it up.
No, she didn't. She did it on the fly. It was
Yeah.
like something we had.
You should bring the mic closer center to you.
Me?
Yeah, so like the top. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that's amazing.
Looks good. Looks good.
I'm decent with the sound right now.
We all
Alright.
good?
Cool. Yeah.
All
I'll take
right.
So let's hit some topics. First thing I want to talk about. We're gonna highlight Sean's art. Well, sorry.
Oh shit.
Welcome to the Kind of Late Show. Welcome to the Kind of Late Show. I'm your host.
It is actually very late.
It's 11:23 West Coast Pacific Standard Time, which is like it's already 3:00.
Yeah, on the
2:30
East Coast. Yeah,
So all
I
the
would say.
cokeheads can watch this.
Yeah, this is a really late show.
Shout out to the
I
Coke.
mean, it's gonna go on 8:00 at Saturday, so
Okay. We're good.
Shout out to the cokeheads.
kind of late show.
Yeah.
This is
If,
I am
you're
your
watching
host
on your
Terence,
TV.
and the night circle is upon us. These are my co-hosts tonight. This is
Yo.
John and Jordan.
I'm not gonna lie, that was disturbing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know what you're talking about. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Yeah, we're here. We out here.
So the first topic I want to go over tonight, or the first thing we're going to go over tonight, because we want to highlight our friends and our homies here on the show. We're going to highlight our good friend Sean. He is an artist. He is going currently to Otis, which is a art school here on the West Coast. We're going to look at some of his art. So first off, I want to look at this piece. We're looking straight off Instagram, so we'll see how well this goes. But boom, here's the first piece I want to talk about, Sean. This beautiful piece with the fountain woman out against
Word.
the yellow.
Word.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that right now?
Yeah, man. So this was a piece that I had to do for one of my art classes.
Which, a disclaimer, most of these pieces Sean will have done for an art class right now.
Yeah, most of them are done for my art class. That one in particular was an interesting one because most of my pieces are done fairly last minute, and what makes this one an interesting one was when I got into it, I started doing the original layers in that's actually hard kind of talking about my art. As an artist, you kind of have to do a base layer, and I did the base layer with some toilet paper, and I was kind of just rubbing the toilet paper onto the canvas until I realized I was actually creating a
Full
piece.
transparency, I was gonna be like, well, why don't you talk about what inspired you about the piece? But then I'm like, no, this toilet paper bit is way more interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I've helped them out with like art projects before, and then just like the real art is like setting up how you're gonna do this painting.
Sean's art, I think, is like a perfect embodiment of it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yeah, it's more like, you know how they say like science is more like accidents, and it's more of like, it's not really, it's like I wasn't aiming to do that, I just happened to notice this as I was trying to do some other shit.
Yeah, I mean, what was really funny about actually most of the pieces I think we're going to see here today is they're very non-conventional. None of the pieces were done in a regular painterly fashion. All of them have done in very non-conventional mediums. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's like, I do love your painting or like sculpture with the sponge and the mud. That is like,
Well, yeah. If we go back to the waterfall one though, so I realized while working on the base layer that the painting was working really well with just using this toilet paper, and so I kind of just rubbed the toilet paper in, and I mixed different tones
What was the way that you actually like used the toilet paper? Like, did you use the toilet paper like in a paintbrush fashion, or was it like that's how you got the texture on the hair?
So I had a whole roll of toilet paper and I kind of just spun it up and I would dip it in different tones of paint and I'd kind of use those tones to paint it in. And I thought it worked really well because since I was dealing with water, there was kind of points where I was kind of like using the toilet paper to take away the paint, so there's this reductive element to it. And when it came to the hair, I actually did use the toilet paper as kind of like a dabbing motion to kind of get this waterfall effect. And it was really just working with different tones. One of the funny things was in my class telling people that I had used toilet paper to make this.
Well, I'm sitting here like I didn't know that you'd shown us this piece before, and I did not know that you used toilet paper.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting here like,
I've been
like,
face to
this
face
is
with
during
this
like
painting.
this is during COVID pandemic.
And I'm like,
so the
what?
idea of like hearing someone
Yeah.
like, yeah, I use toilet paper for art. It's like that just sounds so pandemic era.
That's really funny.
Whoa.
And like I know that was probably nowhere near your intention.
Nah.
But that
So
just-
I bought
didn't
all
even
the
think
toilet
about
paper
it
to
like
use
that.
this. I'm actually the reason why we had a toilet paper shortage just to make this painting. I'm sorry, guys, if you weren't able to wipe your asses. It was for this painting.
Okay. What kind of ply was it? Because if it wasn't,
It was good. It was good.
oh, you used good toilet paper.
Yeah.
you use like hardcore. Did you like Charmin 2
Like
ply?
you didn't use one ply, like
like
Have you guys
Charm
tried to paint?
no. But I'm just saying, this is you use the
he
good
went
toilet-
that full on Charmin extra.
Yeah,
Yeah, extra ply, like double roll. I used at least 3 rolls.
I know. Yeah, I don't think I ever
like
bought
per
it.
section.
I don't buy one ply, but I don't think I ever bought Charmin that much ply.
Was this
Yeah.
you?
That's very.
Or is that
Yes.
something-
No. Everything on there is me.
Okay.
No, but it was actually really funny during the critique because, again, I wasn't even going to mention the fact that I had used toilet paper because during a critique, you kind of want to keep everything relevant. And there was a whole story.
I feel like the toilet paper was very relevant.
Not to the actual story, though. So the story behind that painting was this idea of, it was kind of like the beginning of the universe. And in the beginning, you had the epitome of water just aimlessly like wandering the universe, and then her hair is waterfall, and eventually she runs into the epitome of passion, and passion is like a born in flame, and they end up touching each other, and the heat touching the water turns her to steam.
Steamy.
Yeah, it turns her to steam, which is the birth of wisdom. And so like there was this whole like mythological story to it. And it wasn't until after that where I was just like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but this painting was made of toilet paper. Which one of the students
Killed the vibe.
Well, no, it was actually, I mean, it added to the vibe. It was deeply
Because, like,
hysterical.
if you didn't mention toilet paper, it would have been really sexy.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Because I had this whole thing written out for it. But it was really funny because one of the students mentioned like, oh, next time we go to class, we're gonna need a toilet paper demo. We're gonna need a
So
demonstration.
they were still intrigued. So
Oh, they loved it.
So it's still sexy.
No, yeah, it was, I mean the painting's hot.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, it's a beautiful painting.
thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate
You'll
it.
have to rewind it because we're actually going to move on to his next
The
painting.
description
his next,
was sexy.
His next
what
featured
you
painting.
said, it was very
Or this isn't a painting, actually. This is rather a piece, a physical piece. Let's check it out. Boom. You want to tell us about this one, Sean?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one because this was for a photography class where we had to make basically an installation of something that wasn't going to last. And my idea was kind of making artwork that was inside of a museum that was basically being photographed of like these silhouettes watching the piece. So we have a silhouette of a man watching this art installation. And it's actually a physical photo. So this piece that we're looking at isn't actually like
Like,
an installation, but it's actually just a photo if we're looking
yeah.
at it. So if you're looking at it, it's really just like a 8x12 photo.
Okay, but it looks like someone's in an art gallery, like looking at this.
That was the idea.
Yeah, I get it.
Which is it. I mean, again, do you maybe want to even like talk about your art style itself? Because I think you're very much. I don't want to say you're very much ahead of your time as an artist, or very much like creating, new art, because you very much have talked about the way you're inspired by older artists of the time and the way they deconstructed art. And do you maybe want to talk about the way that we'll go into your modern pieces, and we'll talk about the way that you've deconstructed art.
Thinks outside the
that
box.
way. Because again, you've talked about your influence with Warhol. I'm a big Warhol fan. I'm a big David Bowie fan. He was friends with Warhol. He had a song, Andy Warhol, one of my favorite David Bowie songs. So let's go into some of your final stuff. This was a series that you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was really funny.
This is the first one you did, which is the mop with the mud.
Yeah, I got a significant amount of hate for this because I'm basically in a painting class, and I had told my professor, he was like, "Well, what do you want to do this semester?" And I was like, "Dude, like, I don't like to paint. I don't want to paint. I'm in a painting class." And he was like, "Sure. I mean, let's run on that." And I shot him 3 ideas. One of the ideas was to do a series of white paintings, which he actually was very supportive of, and he turned me on to this one specific artist, like Robert Ryman, I think his name was, and he was a custodian at this art gallery in New York. And he was a custodian there for like 30 years. And there got to be a time where in that time where he was actually just making these paintings using just white paint. And it was kind of like he would do these underpaintings and then he would just paint the canvas white. So you kind of see the background of the painting, but the painting was just white. And
it kind of like in that like Daredevil Rabbit in the Snowstorm kind of vein? Like, did you know
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's kind of in that spirit, but entirely different. He really went far with it in this idea where he was adding like textures, and he gave like some sculptural aspects to it. So he made this significant amount of just
promote your beer on this channel.
He made these a significant amount of just white paintings, and that was kind of just reassurance that my teacher was giving me to this idea of like, well, if you want to do white paintings, like it's been done before and I support it, because my idea for a white painting was I would have a canvas that would be entirely painted white, but the title would be something like Deer in the Headlights or Staring at the Sun, because it's like these peripheral these visual ideas where when you're looking at something and you can't see anything but this like blinding light.
Right.
And so that was kind of the idea for that painting, and that was the first idea. And the second idea was I guess it was more of the sculptural aspects that we see now, where I told him, well, hey, I think it'd be interesting to like paint with mud. I think it'd be interesting to have like this idea where like something that is supposed to clean up the mess makes the mess. So kind of this idea like we use a sponge to like clean up dirty spaces.
Yeah.
But what happens if the sponge ends up making a dirty space? And he really vibed with that idea, and I appreciated that a lot. And so the third idea was just like, well, I can just paint on intuition.
There it is.
And he vibed with all of those ideas, but the idea that I ended up sticking with was this idea of the things that are made to create the mess ends up making the mess. And that's how we ended up with this, where I was like, you know what, I want to have a piece where it's all in one whole stroke, where I ended up taking a sponge, I mixed it with some medium, and I just applied it to this canvas. And I told him like I wanted to have these attributes actually on the canvas to know that it made the mark. which is why we have this piece where like the sponge is like sticking to the canvas,
Yeah,
saying like,
like
"Hey."
it's like it's a sculpture on in a way.
Yeah, so it did have like these sculpture aspects to it. It was not received very well. A lot of the students were saying like, "Well, how are these paintings? We're in a
Eh,
painting
Okay, I don't want
class."
to be an ass, but I'm like producing the shit out of this episode right now.
No, you're doing clean. You're doing clean. It's looking good. And so that's kind of where those pieces derived from, and they've kind of gone further than even this idea of like what is supposed to make the mess. No, what is supposed to like clean up the mess makes the mess, which is why we have like the two last pieces, where I just started playing with this idea because like Warhol was very much about like monetizing art. It was just like this idea of art for art's sake, and just realizing that, you know, if you want to be part of the culture, you're going to add the culture into it. And there was this part of me that was just so disgusted about how, you know, learning art kind of like killed the drive. And it's like, you know, you hold art to this high standard, and the only people buying art are like these rich pretentious people. And a part of me was just like, well,
I seen it, and I just to cut you off real quick, and I see where you're at, where they don't particularly understand art; they just appreciate it.
it's not even just appreciated. I think it's just this them wanting to feel like they're part of a culture, and that's kind of something that Warhol was able to give them with the soup cans. The idea of the soup cans was just like the soup cans were something that was very
Again, it was the symbol of the poor man, and it was something that when
it was almost like rich people owning the poor people's culture.
well, not even the poor people, but just the essence of that culture, and
Yeah, exactly.
what it meant to like just kind of be
And-
what it is to be the everyman.
And that's one take on it, and I totally like understand that take, and I'm not gonna say I entirely agree with that take. You know, it is definitely one perspective on it, but I was kind of just wanting to say like, fuck this idea of, you know, people like holding art to such as high esteem. So when it came to my last two pieces, like there's like a comedy to it. There's kind of a
It
comedy
is.
to yeah, I want like there's something.
It's kind of fuck you to the rest of the class. It's like why are you guys taking it like this serious, making it like this big of a deal when you could literally just like you said, like you're thinking outside the box, and it's like you said, I'm planning to do like a whole lot of nothing, and it's like it's not like you're not doing anything, but it's like you know, you just like it's like the concept to it is doesn't seem like there's not much thought to it, but it's still
Yeah, so there was
it's
a lot
really
of
outside the
people
box. Like it's
that
like
yeah, there
I'm
absolutely it was
pretty sure,
definitely
yeah,
outside the
it's
box.
definitely like I'm guaranteed like a lot of students were like frustrated about what you did.
Well, one of the things that made him so frustrated is you have a classroom full of painters who are honestly dedicated to their craft and painting things
Yeah.
that are you know are meaningful to them,
Mhm.
and they're spending hours on these paintings, and I literally just had an idea, and it was just a concept,
Yeah.
and I ran with that idea slash concept. And honestly, the funny thing is, it's not like I wasn't painting during the whole time. I
Yeah.
think one thing that made people so frustrated was the fact that I would come into class with a bunch of spray cans, and I spent most of the time actually just going outside and spray painting because the graffiti room is literally right next door.
Yeah.
So you would have me just in this 6 hour class going outside and just spray painting while everyone else is working on their pieces, because my pieces were so simple, but the idea was about, you know, it can be like, it's very comedic, but at the same time you can like think about like the working class, because every single thing about my piece has
Yeah.
to do with like laborers.
Yeah. Did you make the canvas yourself?
All the canvases were made by me.
Yeah, well, like, see, so you put in the work. It's not like you just like straight up just bought a canvas and just like sprayed like a sponge on it. You did the whole set. It's like people don't.
And I remember, I full on remember you telling me the struggle that you had just to make a lot of the canvases. That
Yeah.
like you like I had to go to the store like multiple times
It's
because they weren't the right measurements, they weren't the right materials.
And to be
remember,
honest, like I'm not gonna say like I got to give the devil their due because like everyone at the school had worked really hard on their paintings.
Yeah.
Like I'd say at least like
It
85% of
doesn't.
them, like they had ideas and they executed them so well. They were mad because my idea was so simple. And honestly, when you look at the final product, again, you look at the squeegee one, you look at the missing canvas one, both of those paintings, like they looked at them like these aren't even paintings. Like you didn't do any work for them. And I got a lot of trash for that. Especially during the critiques, like even when I explained myself very, very fluidly, it was very much like, I just don't see these as paintings. And I respect that idea. And you know what? I didn't actually come into that class. Like I told my teacher, I don't like painting. I'm not here to paint. And you know what? He supported me. So the funny thing about all these pieces is the fact that I had the teacher backing me up.
Well, I think a lot of things is you were comfortable in your creativity in that level,
Yeah.
and again, there's also you're an older student. You're in your late 20s. A lot of these students were in their late teens, early 20s, and they had this again, like you said, they had a passion for this, and you're someone that had already gone through different levels of passion for art, and you already kind of had an idea of like where you wanted to see your artistry go.
Yeah,
And they were still developing their artistry.
No, definitely. But what actually is gnarly is there's this one artist who outblew everybody because her paintings are just so high level. It's almost questionable, like, why are you even going to the school? Because you already have the gift, you already have the talent. It almost doesn't make sense. I think from that standpoint, like her criticisms would make sense, and I could see why she doesn't like it, why she would have animosity to my pieces, because it's like, well, you're already such a talented artist, you're obviously going to look at my pieces like, well, this guy just isn't trying. But again, I think if you're saying I'm not trying, then you're missing the idea. And there is a very comical part of this.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's super funny. Like the more I think about it, it's like, wow, how much people are like hating on you for like it's I don't know. I don't understand. Like your
and
teacher's
another
backing you up and just saying like, oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure like your teacher loves your work.
so not only that, but it was really funny because again, I'd spend most of the time either before, during, even after class spray painting, and the teacher would just come out and be like, hey, like I really like what you're doing. Why don't you put this on a canvas? And me as a graffiti artist, very much was just like, well, it doesn't belong on a canvas.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I grew up.
That wouldn't be graffiti if it was on it. Like,
Exactly. So again, it was this really funny thing that he even supported like the graffiti art, and he loved what I was doing outside, and the fact that he even wanted me to bring that inside. But there was a lot of there's a lot of animosity to me still painting, but coming up with something that wasn't actually what they would consider a painting, when they obviously knew that I could.
like if it's not a painting, it could still be like a sculpture or something. It's still art at the end of the day. Like
Yeah, I like to think it's a mix of both. I mean, a lot of art school is having this question, like, what a painting even is.
yeah, it's like you're thinking outside the box. So it's
Yeah.
but I like what you're as graffiti wise, like what you're
Been building.
yeah, it could be trademarked and it could be something. That's why yeah, like the
Oh,
way
thanks,
you
dude.
spell fuck, I guess it's fuck.
Yeah, it's vodka.
It's fuck, but it looks like fook.
Could be fook.
It could be fook, but
I'm okay with
the
that,
way
yeah.
the way it looks, it could definitely be like a getting away with. It could be like on T-shirts. It could be on like all this other stuff.
Yeah, and again, I think with the graffiti, it's really funny because I've definitely come a long way since like my first day from my last day. Again, that was something that I had
And that's
posted.
just it. I think graffiti is something you hold to you because it's something that really sticks to like your kind of. I don't want to call it to like street, but I don't like. I feel weird calling it working class origins, but it's. I mean, you.
Graffiti does something for me that is I like to say it's almost the truest form of art because as an artist, we're here to create. And usually we kind of just create to create. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be something like for us, but it's something that we do. So when it comes to graffiti, like, we're getting our name out and we're making something, and we're not even making something to last. Like most graffiti artists know when we put up something, well, someone's going to put something up
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
And that idea of like finality and the fact that it's going to end, it really makes me feel like it's the truest form of art because it relates more to the human experience. Like people aren't going to live forever. Like why should my art live forever?
It's true that. Unless, it's just on people's minds, but, then those people
Wow, that was
expire.
powerful stuff about your art. I
Thank
think
you.
change lanes.
Yeah,
Shift
dude.
to new topic.
Let's look. Let's
Yeah,
switch it up.
thanks for
I'm happy
putting
to.
me out.
I'm happy to be your put out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously, very innovative stuff. Definitely
Thank you.
So
push it to the limit.
let's get to our second topic. We're not really gonna discuss this topic or this exact thing too hard, but we'll get into a little bit about our experiences involved, sort of, to this topic, which is Facebook is shutting down its speed dating service on January 20th.
What?
Yeah, none of us used Facebook's
Yeah,
speed dating service.
January 20th. That's like that gave me like 5 days to try it out. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
of its existence.
but I think we've all tried
Get on now.
online.
Yeah, I gotta
think
get
we've all
on it
tried online
now.
dating services of some kind.
Yeah,
We've all
yeah.
had different experiences. I think Jordan, for the most part, has been more successful on these fronts than either you or me, Sean.
I'll get into that in a bit, but yeah, Jordan, what
It's good because you're. I wouldn't say that by like any means that you're what I think the internet considers an alpha male, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not an alpha male.
but you've never been one to subscribe to these kind of titles or this type of.
Yeah, I
I-
really just do what I
yeah.
do, and
I'd full on say that you're a man's man. You're
Yeah.
happy being who you are.
Yeah,
And
like
that's, I think-
I have confidence in who I am, cause like
the dick's not big, it's
Yeah,
just impressive.
it's impressive. Like
Jordan-
I said,
Jordan-
the dick's
Dick is like it's big.
it's pretty big, but
It's
I don't.
impressive.
Cause it's been a part of me for so long. It's like
What do you say? The gateway to BBC.
yeah, that's why I always say the gateway to BBC, cause it's not really like, that big. It's not porn star big, but it's just like, it's the gateway
Honestly, I
big.
kind of think that's debatable.
No,
but-
well, no,
It's-
'cause- no, because I think you do have porn star big enough because
See, it's like
Well, and- well,
it's like
that's
seeing
what-
your own face.
what
You
is
never
porn-
really seen your own face.
I know my
We're
dick.
talking over each other.
I know my dick is okay enough for porn.
Yeah,
It's like porn
Yeah,
minimum. My
exactly.
dick is porn minimum.
exactly. You never
Mine-
really know.
Mine is POV minimum. It's
Well,
see-
definitely not porn
I was-
minimum.
I think it was
It's,
what was it? I think it was Flagrant 2. They're like, well, the chicks just have small hands. That's what the thing is
Yeah.
in porn.
Yeah, that's. I don't know those,
Ah.
those big booties that tell everyone's story.
Their
Okay.
booties only look so big because their hands are small.
All right, but real talk. Well, if we were to get back to the dating sites, I literally joined every single one.
What was your luck on every single dating site?
I did really good on Grinder.
On
Yeah. Grinders is pretty.
And it,
okay,
honestly,
wait, but you were someone that but you're not hiding it. You're someone that did experiment with your. Well, I wouldn't even say experiment. You were comfortable enough to have those. I'm not someone that dated other men.
Be
but
real.
But you did. You dated men.
I didn't date men. I've just had sex with men.
Okay.
So there wasn't like a dating.
Exactly. Like I've
I've
literally got paid to like get my dick sucked by a man, and it just That's pretty much.
I'd like to point out.
That's my limit.
I want to point out where we're all at on like the sexual spectrum of men. Sean is a single father. Jordan is a swinger, and I guess I fall under incel.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you would like to
Well,
call
like,
yourself
that's just it.
that,
Like I wouldn't say I'm involuntary celibate because
but you know, if someone,
it's not like I'm going
like
out of
that.
my way to be.
but someone on the outside, like
I like
looking,
the idea
yeah,
of
the idea.
involuntary.
Well, it's like I mean,
Okay.
I might even say voluntary because again, like I've dated in the last like X amount. Obviously, it's been a little hard with
Lately,
the
it's hard.
pandemic.
It's
Wait,
harder.
one at a
than
time.
It's been
Pandemic.
hardly lately with the pandemic, but I was dating a girl before the pandemic, and I was like, okay, but like
It wasn't. Yeah.
I
One at a
was
time. One at a time.
I was understanding like I was kind of understanding what I knew I had to bring to a relationship, and I was understanding what I thought a modern woman should bring to a relationship.
Yeah.
And you're someone that's very much you are very much a partner with your
Yeah. Yeah. What?
again because you're a swinger, but so is your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're both hot. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We.
you're both sexy bitches.
We're in an open relationship, and
There's no way around that.
we do
So
our own
again,
thing.
If
But,
I
like-
just go back to just the dating sites, it was funny because with Tinder at least I was getting a few, but it just definitely wasn't worth it. It was like you just had to like there was a point where you just have to have like conversation starters, and at the point it was just like, well, are we gonna be meeting up? Like, is this gonna be
Yeah,
a thing?
it never really escalates. I think I only am at like no, I was never do Tinder.
And so this was funny. So then on
Well,
Bumble
like-
though,
well,
wait,
just to catch up, just to cut both of you off real quick. I have a cousin who straight up has like gotten married and had a kid with someone she met on Tinder. Yeah, and like
okay,
yeah,
so
I've
that's
never
like
met
the
anyone.
0.01%.
That
Yeah,
is-
like I've never met anyone on Tinder. Like,
That was for
like I've had better luck with like chicks just stargazing my eyes in a bar.
yeah, like Tinder. I don't know. I didn't even think that's just like really like based from like just to get married off of. I don't know that.
Well, and again, I don't think
I thought it was like a hookup site, but it's really just like kind of just like more of a travel buddy and going to restaurants kind of site. I don't know. It's just like it's never really.
Well, and wasn't
I
that
never
kind
really
of the
meet up
point
for
of
a-
Bumble? Which going back to
Yeah.
Sean, how was your luck on Bumble?
Pretty bleak. Like I got a few matches, but like when you send the message, I guess they only give the other person like 24-hour notice. So unless they hit you up in 24 hours.
Well,
they're
and I know
having-
you, Jordan, you were having pretty good luck on Bumble.
I don't think I ever. Okay, I
I've
got
never-
matches, and then people hit me
One
up,
at a time.
but we never really met up. There was one person that I was pretty promising, but you know we never really made plans or anything. So I never really did Bumble.
I do remember you hyping up Bumble though.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning it.
I was
more than
having it
once.
because yeah, like the women have to hit you up first, so it's it's kind of promising, but it's all really up to you to escalate. Maybe it was the timing. There's only pretty like only one person I feel like I truly matched because like we really much like oh yeah something about American Dad and Family Guy. If you still watch that, yeah, hell yeah, American Dad, Family Guy. I love American Dad, Family
yeah.
Guy. But we never met up. I could probably like download Bumble again and hit them up and see how they're doing, and it still could be on. But that's only one person,
Well, and
and she was a black
Cameras
woman.
too.
I feel like
you get that.
I feel like Tinder and Tinder
What looking at.
and Bumble are just for like kind of for Caucasians. It's just that's just how it is. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and again, like I got some matches, but one of the biggest problems was just not having the replies back quick enough. So
The replies and for some reason it's just like
and if
why-
like Grinder though was wild.
why did like Tinder
Well,
and
Sean,
Bumble
you-
become like
you
a
wanna-
travel agency? Like every girl loves to travel.
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, you and I both tried seeking arrangement,
yeah.
which I did have like legitimate discourse with some. Like I was bummed because like one of them I was like, oh man, this might go well, but like it didn't. So I mean, like, it's not like it went bad. It didn't go anywhere. But like,
I feel like seeking arrangements is something that you just have to be on long enough, and you'd have to definitely be. I don't know. I felt like I was good on secret arrangements. I just wasn't on there long enough. I feel like if I was on there long enough, then I probably could have easily been like a sugar baby.
well, and I kind of did like a little bit of research in terms of like that lifestyle, and a bunch of people were talking about like you need to be dedicated to it. It's not something like you're not gonna like just
It's work.
You're not gonna meet exactly. That's what they said. Like you're not gonna meet someone.
Yeah, it's
online.
more of a
You
companionship.
have to be dedicated to like being there for someone. You
Yeah.
have to like if you're not like willing to go skydiving, then like just dab out now.
Yeah, it's definitely
Ain't
more.
nobody got time
It's
for
more
that.
of a
Yeah.
commitment.
I
It's
mean-
more of a yeah.
No,
it's-
I'm like
you
I'm
got
like,
time for
I'm
that.
like
it's,
okay,
it's
well,
definitely
like,
a companionship thing. It's not
Yeah.
just straight up just like texting like a older woman every
It's
like
it's
every
not
like
it's
2
not
days.
So have you guys?
2 days.
it's not the
So-
same basic deal sugar babies are gonna get.
Yeah.
with the sugar daddy.
Real
Yeah.
talk. Have you guys heard of salt daddies though?
Salt daddies.
So a salt daddy is basically a guy who poses himself up, and he's like acting like he's very machismo,
Yeah.
and he has a bunch of money, and he takes women out,
Yeah.
and she shows him a good night,
There's
and
tons of that. There's
they
tons of
they
that.
have a
There's a
you
lot
know
of
they have a
that.
good amount of like intercourse and stuff, but then it turns out
He
he's
broke.
broke.
Yeah. There's a lot of
So
that.
so it's literally the opposite of a sugar daddy. Homeboy ain't got no money. He literally smashes and dashes.
That's okay. So like I said,
Salt daddy's big right now.
like I said, I'm in an open relationship, and then my partner is got encountered a lot of those.
A lot of salt daddies.
A lot of like they never get to intercourse, but it's just like they
Right,
make
you just
promises.
know.
It's like they make promises that they
So-
can't cash.
So the funny thing about this is like salt daddies are being big right now, and it's like women realizing like, oh, guys are just trying to play the game, right? And it's the funny thing is like they're just realizing this, as if guys haven't been upscaling themselves since day one. They're coining a term right now called salt daddies, as if guys haven't been hyping themselves up to be more than they actually are.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a humbling one called Splenda Daddies, but it's not sugar.
It's your low.
It's not sugar. It's not all the sugar, but it's still a little sweet. It's still a little sweet.
Blended daddies.
So there's
For you
been
low-calorie bitches out
there's
there.
been
Is
the
that like a diet daddy?
no. I mean, it's just like it's not like I said. It's sweet, but it's not.
It's for you low calorie bitches out there.
Yeah, okay. I don't know about low calorie bitches.
What's the
but
word? What's the word you like? to
maybe
use?
low calorie in quotes.
What's the word you like to use, Sean? Mid.
Very mid. Very mid. It's for you mid bitches out there. It's what you can afford. What you should be looking towards.
For Splenda, for
The
Splenda.
Splenda daddies.
So
Like, honestly,
like,
most girls should be just looking for Splendid daddies.
like at the end of the day, it's like
You know, it's sad. You honestly,
I
bitches
wouldn't-
now be skipping on Splendid
it's
daddies. I'd be Splendid.
What's an age appropriate daddy? Is that like a
Actually, that's a great question.
what's like
Like 80. 80 at least. Like, you know what? Like, he needs to be like
no,
rocking with
no,
a cane.
no. I gotta be
You
like
fucking, all feelings, no facts. All feelings, no facts.
65. Give me like
Actually, 65 is pretty good.
Retire. You gotta be retired and got that money coming in.
Man, you gotta.
You gotta blow it all. You know,
Fucking
like
homeboy got diabetes
like-
here.
it's
He's like
like,
trying to pay for insulin.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Honestly, though.
So you're like, I've been here for a long time, so I don't know when my time is coming
Yeah.
with that money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it depends, but I'm just saying, like, I think Splendid Daddy's not for the mid bitches because some mid bitches be like, got the supreme cooch in the head, so it's like that will make them
You
more
ain't
than
wrong.
mid.
So, but the interesting about that is though, like we get into an interesting topic about just
Exactly.
like women's worth.
Exactly. So some hot girls don't even try that
well,
hard.
and that's just it. Going into worth is okay. So like going back to like the actually dating into like
Yeah.
wherever we went. So when I was dating before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
The girl I was dating, she didn't really particularly have like a job or a career or any discernible skills, any type of like education or anything particularly going for her,
Yeah.
and she still thought she was a 10. And it's like that's not the way the world works anymore. Like,
Mm,
as
I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have this whole dynamic of, chicks being able to sell their bodies. Because, like, one, there's a market for it. And I think, I just heard another podcast, hate to bring podcasts into this podcast, but it was just this idea of, like, shelf life. It's this idea. It's like, all right, you know what? You get this money for now, but if you don't know how to invest it, you don't have money for the future. So it's like, yeah, you're with this sugar daddy, you're living lavish, you're getting paid, but you're spending it on like Balenciaga, Louis, and then the next thing you're
35 and you've aged out, you can't be a sugar baby anymore.
and what happens to your money? Now you got these Balenciaga, and like, what are you doing? You're selling that Balenciaga to fucking pay for a fucking room.
Well, it's not to say that like that's the position of like every woman, because
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
because
But-
again the chick I was dating, I don't want she didn't have any of that, but
Yeah.
like to have any,
That mindset.
well, and then to sit there and like again I think we both kind of had this mentality of, well, you don't really have anything going for you. And it's like, well, I was like building sets and working in theater at the time. So as far as I was concerned, like I had a job I
Yeah,
was
that's
happy
that's
with.
something that
But
you're doing.
I was cool with what I was doing. And it's like, you're doing nothing. How are you going to like, how are you going to like just be completely disinterested in what I'm doing? First
Yeah,
of
so
all,
I think this is like an interesting thing that we're gonna like witness in like the next 10, 20 years. It's like, well, how much can you monetize? Like, one, obviously, like these women can be sitting on a nest egg, but honestly, it's like, what are you doing with that nest egg? How are you investing this money?
Yeah.
If you're just buying condos that are just gonna eat up your money like long term, if you're just buying bags, like that money's not gonna last. If you actually have like a good financial advisor
Yeah.
and let you know what's up, then guess what? Like that money's gonna last you long.
Yeah.
And honestly, you did right by your choice of monetizing this cultural phenomenon that's going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, but in his case, like there was no like nest egg. It was
No,
just,
but
like,
and so that's an interesting perspective
Yeah.
too, of just maybe this wave of women thinking that their bodies are just gonna get them by.
yeah.
well, and even at the base level, that's basically what this kind of was, which is like, well, like your worth isn't just you being a woman.
Yeah.
You need to be a fully fledged
Which
individual.
again, which is funny right now because it's like this is all first wave feminine shit. Like like women just wanted to work, and now you're telling me that like women are just going. They're it's kind of like it's being reductive right now, where it's like, well, we don't want to work. Well, then you're honestly shitting on the face of first wave
and
feminine.
I'm like a big I'm a big support.
Yeah.
I've been a
I mean, it's like I don't even
Yeah,
think
you're
like most
shitting
women
on-
think about it. It's like it's not that they don't want to work. They don't want to just like work and then put their work into everything, into the whole thing.
'cause
So
the one
like
thing we
they
don't
want
think
you,
about-
this one, really like legitly like halfway or just like at least paying for something, and then
And-
they'll get you back
and
on
me-
some other shit later.
me personally, one of my big dreams was
But-
I want to be a stay-at-home father. Like I want
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Well,
we're
wait.
because I grew up post-feminism, so in my head, like, well, why can't I have a good woman provide for me so I can stay at home and raise my kids? I can stay at home.
I'll tell you why right now. Women don't marry down, which is a huge cultural dynamic. Is one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that women only marry up. They only date up.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is it's like, well, you don't have women who are taking the shitty jobs that men take, but then you want to date up on somebody who's doing better than those shitty jobs, which honestly those shitty jobs might be, paying more and like actually like sustaining a lifestyle.
Well, and all you have to do is just do a quick Google search and find there's a ton of articles on women not being able to find men that are making as much money as them in the current era, and it's like, well, that's it. Women need to be willing to date down, because at the end of the day, men have dated down since the dawn of fucking time.
No, so statistics show that men date across and down, and women only date up. And sadly, I've only heard from people who have like researched this and people who are on this topic saying that that's actually not gonna change.
Well,
So that's
I
an
don't think it's
interesting.
going to change either, but
That's
I think someone needs to be able to say, hey, because at the end of the day, like whatever partner you and I, because you and I are the ones that are single right now, they're probably going to be across from us. They're not. What is? I mean,
well, but see, it's so funny that you're saying like across, like like again, me being a guy wouldn't be opposed to dating down. I think it'd be interesting if I found somebody who was above me, like who was definitely making like exacerbated amount more than me to actually
well,
take
and
me. So I think
what is dating down? Because again, I think there's a set skill. I think there's a set level of what a man should be that women expect, and I think that.
well, let's say like you have a career, but your girlfriend has a part-time job. Like she's like looking to like grow herself, but at the moment she has a part-time job. I think it's hard for a woman to already have a career and then she finds a man who has a part-time job. I think that dynamic would be
And
different.
that I understand because she's too busy having a full-time job. When she gonna meet? Unless she's like
Unless she's Jordan,
unless she's like smitten with the grocer, then
because
like
Jordan's got that porno cock.
Yeah, I gotta use the bathroom. Speaking of cock,
Ooh,
no,
we didn't even get to me being on Grinder.
right.
You haven't been on Grinder?
Yeah, just promote the cock.
No, Grinder is actually really easy. It was a little too easy. I don't have a Grinder anymore, so sorry everyone. I was on it for 2 weeks. Got an insane amount of matches, insane amount of people. Saw a whole lot of inappropriate pictures, and had a whole lot of sexy talk. Didn't go through with any of it, because your boy ain't got the time.
I mean, men are the best at sexy talk.
No, actually, I was having to engage. You'd be surprised. There are actually so many bottoms. It was crazy.
I mean, I was just saying shit out of my ass.
Oh yeah, no.
I have no idea.
It was very much. There was one person who I kind of feel bad for getting rid of my account because he was close and he seemed like really cool. Like I actually probably would have like connected with him, but yeah, for the most part, it was just. I mean, I was upfront. I was just like, people asking you like, "What are you doing on Grindr?" And I'm like, "Ah, dude, I'm fucking horny. Like, I just want to fuck." And yeah, that was basically the mid. That was the mid. Just being horny. I wanted to fuck. And everybody you meet on there was pretty much down for it. Unsolicited pictures everywhere. I had a picture of my face, which was probably the wrong thing because everybody fucking like was on my shit. It was an insane amount. It was quite literally the exact opposite of Tinder and Bumble, where I couldn't keep up. And which is sick to say. Like I feel
Couldn't
sick.
keep up or couldn't keep it up.
Your boy was keeping it up, but no, it was honestly I've never been in a position in my life where I haven't been able to message that many people. And I felt how overwhelming it was, and it was just so overwhelming. Where I was just like, no, this is honestly too much.
What?
Being on Grinder.
Oh yeah. It is a lot.
He was too appealing to the gays.
It is a lot. But I straight up got OnlyFans subscribers from Grinder, but then they're like even too aggressive. I was like, okay. No, there's no way we're gonna meet up.
Yeah, and again, like there's a couple guys where I was like, oh, that was pretty cool, but it was
Okay, so
too many conversations at
we're
once.
heading to the last 10 minutes. I don't know how much we had a real conversation about dating as much as said a bunch of things.
You're right. We didn't actually conversate. It was kind of just.
But I still want to get to our third topic, which is the Eternals versus Peacemaker. So we're going to lighten the mood for the last bit of the
Word.
show.
Word.
Which you guys did only just watch the first 10 minutes of Peacemaker.
Literally.
None of us have watched the Eternals.
No.
None of us watched the Eternals.
I didn't even know the Eternals was coming out.
Like
I knew it was coming out. I live in Hollywood, and they closed out the whole uh Hollywood Boulevard from La Brea to like I
But
don't know, maybe
but
not
you're
La
talking
Brea.
about like the full on like the actual premiere.
Yeah, they did
when
a
it happened.
premiere. They like closed off the whole block. They like had all these this just like structure by the Capitan Theater. It was it was a lot, and they closed out the whole thing. It was very inconvenient, but that's what happens to Hollywood. Every time a movie premieres, shit gets inconvenient for you to walk on the sidewalk and try to catch a fucking bus.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fucking annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying, but I still miss it. I love it. I love
Yeah, I
it.
think
I got you.
again,
I've grown accustomed to it.
like the when I first heard about the Eternals, I just heard that it was shit.
Oh yeah.
The first
I
thing
didn't hear
the
anything
first thing
really
I
about it.
heard
It's
was
just
like Disney execs like, "Oh, we're praising the movie. This is the best thing." But like me being a comic book reader, I'm like, "Okay, the Eternals is the bottom of the barrel. This is stuff where like not even like comic book fans are gonna be like, oh yeah, the Eternal. Like there was no universe where people are gonna be like, man, the Eternals.
So
Yeah.
something interesting that I was talking to Jordan about, and it was I don't know if you watched was it Jupiter?
Jupiter Ascending.
Is that what it's called?
I think so. Well, was it the one with the?
It was the superheroes.
No, then I don't know.
Oh,
Was it like a
Jupiter's Legacy? Okay,
Okay.
so there's a Netflix series called Jupiter's Legacy, and so this was actually based on a comic, and I guess it was a very long running comic. It was very well known. I had no idea about it. The Netflix series was absolutely terrible, so bad I think that they're not gonna renew a second season, which sucks because I think a second season would be the only thing it has going for it because it really wasn't that good. What made it awesome was that they made an anime called Super Crooks, and it was the villains of Jupiter's Legacy. So I had no idea. Like I'm just watching this anime, and then it turns out that they're taking superheroes from Jupiter's Legacy into this anime, and it was like, holy shit! Like you see this kind of crossover idea,
Mhm.
and it was like, oh wow, these are already established superheroes in like this villain story. So I'm watching this cool villain story, and then it's like tying to these like comic book superheroes. Again, Jupiter's Legacy sucked. Super Crooks was awesome, and I think that tie is something that made Super Crooks even better. But as far as Jupiter's Legacy, it was like these unknown superheroes. I never read the comic. It was a long running comic. The Netflix series is shit. So when I heard about Eternals, it was kind of like the same thing where I was kind of figuring like, oh wow, like it's like you have these unknown superheroes. It's probably trash. And yeah, I just didn't end up watching it.
100%. The only like character I knew going into it, I still haven't seen the movie. The only hero I knew of was Cersei's, and the outfit they gave her was different from the one I saw her in because I saw her in like some '80s era where like everyone had like these bomber jackets on. And I was like, oh, that's such a cool design. And then like what we got was so far from that. So I was like, oh man, that was maybe that was on me for getting into the '80s design. But again, I didn't care about the rest of the characters. Like these are all characters that like, as it is, like phase two had a bunch of characters that like you were gonna have a hard time getting people to care about these characters. Like Falcon, for all intents and purposes, was like a super mediocre character. That like, I mean, when I saw Winter Soldier, I was like, hell yeah, they made Falcon badass. And to this day, I'm like, hell yeah, they did right by Falcon. But like, there's no way you're gonna do right by every character because I mean, I'm a big proponent that at the end of the day, comic books are silly. There's silly things that happen in comic books. Comic book readers will admit to that.
So I think that's one thing that I give Marvel a lot of credit for is the fact that like the show, like the movies are silly. Like they're willing to play like this idea where it's like, oh well, this is ridiculous. There is a lot of comedy in this that DC kind of dismisses. So when you watch something DC, it's like it has to be so serious, it has to be so heavy. They kind of lose touch with
and
this
I think
idea.
that's why Harley Quinn was successful.
I
too,
think
'cause
that's
it's, like,
I
very
think that's
comedic.
I think it's an early critique of DC because obviously
Sure.
Dawn of Justice and the well just Dawn of Justice and Man of Steel, where the big serious ones were like, oh, they were a little over the top for their seriousness, but after they quickly learned their lesson after Dawn of Justice.
I give Jordan a lot of credit for saying like Harley Quinn though, because it was
Yeah,
like
the
Har-
comedic timing on that was like super on
but
point.
Harley Quinn is very Deadpool. So you have like this anti-hero. So you actually get
Yeah,
to
yeah. She ended up being like an anti-hero. Like she's like, they even say like, yeah, what you did there was very heroic. It's like, what? I'm a
Yeah.
badass. I kiss,
Well, and to
I
go,
kiss women.
well, and to
I kiss everybody.
and to and to. Oh, you're talking about the cartoon.
Yeah, the
Okay.
cartoon.
Well, I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about Birds of Prey.
Oh no, I would have said Birds of Prey,
Well,
but
and I was gonna use that to transition into like how much. You
but
need to know
the
going into-
Suicide Squad was pretty good too, comedic.
Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad?
Wait,
The one with Will Smith or the one with Idris Elba?
Idris Elba. I'm gonna go Idris Elba.
No, but
Sorry,
I
Will
think
Smith.
there's this idea of anti-heroes that they're able to like bring in even more humor.
Yeah,
Well, and I think I just think it in general just villains / anti-heroes are hot right now because even me and Annika are in wrestling, heels are our favorite characters. And,
Yeah.
It's very, again, like the one problem Superman has always had is the fact that he's perfect. And when you deal with these anti-heroes, it relates more to the common person because, I mean, dude, we all fucking shit the bed.
Well, and I'm a big believer that the problem with Superman and writing is that's on the writer to not know how to write for a character like that.
I think you're right. I think Superman
Because-
comics are pretty fucking stellar.
Well, and when Superman
translating
comics are
that.
done really well, they're done fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Superman All Star, Superman Red Sun, those are amazing comics.
It's probably pretty hard for writers to translate that into movies.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's how do you write for a god?
And I think that's something that makes it really easy when you're looking at anti-heroes and they relate so much to the common person, because it's like, dude, like, name a person who hasn't just like fucked up. And you look at these anti-heroes and they start from a position where it's like, yeah, I've like fucked up all the time, like my life has been a fuck up, and here I am kind of like redeeming myself for it. So it's kind of like a real hero's tale.
Well, and I think that's where kind of Marvel as a comic, as just in comics in general, has always kind of fared in terms of reaching more to that regular person and that every bit, because it's well, that's the suffering. That was the big thing that appealed to Spider-Man, was us getting that kind of, that human, this is the suffering that we all share type of factor. Whereas in DC, you had a lot of these characters that were presented as these paragons of morality and justice. Again, characters like Superman being too perfect.
Yeah, I think in Superman we probably don't look at his past enough. I don't think we actually see his isolation and the fact that he's not a human and he's someone literally already othered trying to fit into our world. I think if we saw him as somebody who just didn't fit in more, trying to be better, like trying to be the person who does good even though he's not a part of our world, I think that would work a lot more.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest humanizing factors about Superman is his sense of alienation and loneliness, because that's something that I think a lot of people share, because a lot of people feel misunderstood because
Fortunes of Solitude.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's so crazy because honestly we can all relate with him, but it's something that's not relayed in what we're watching. Like we don't get that feeling when we're watching Superman, when we should, because he is just as isolated as all of us trying to do good.
I think that's actually a great note to end the show on, with Superman being paragon of good. I know a lot of this episode.
Fuck Superman.
I know this episode was a lot of us.
Powered by the sun, son of a bitch.
Hey, you right, cheers.
But, all right, have a great time. This was episode 3 of the Kinda Late Show. Thank you for watching if you did.
Fuck what you heard.
Co-hosts Sean and Jordan. Thanks for watching if you did again.
Big Trouble in Sexy Town.
Sponsored. Not sponsored.
Oh, wait, no, here it is. Here it is. Big Trouble in Sexy Town. Yeah, it's a sexy ass can.
Have a good night, everyone.